All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 military personnel killed in a helicopter crash in Tamil Nadu. Last rites of General Rawat and his wife to be performed tomorrow at Delhi Cantonment. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to make a statement on chopper crash in Parliament today. Cabinet gives nod to extension of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen till March 2024. Also approves Kane-Betwa River Interlinking Project worth 44,605 crore rupees. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 130 crore mark. WHO calls for speeding up vaccination programs to tackle Omicron. UK, Canada and Australia also announced diplomatic boycott of 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics after US. Bcci announces India's squad for Test series against South Africa. Rohit Sharma replaces Virat Kohli as ODI captain. And India's Jhilli Dal Behra clinches gold medal at Commonwealth Weightlifting Championships in Uzbekistan. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the new corona variant is a cause of concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and help others get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these three simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. The last rites of Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika Rawat will be performed tomorrow in Delhi Cantonment. General Bipin Rawat, his wife Madhulika Rawat and 11 military personnel died in a tragic chopper crash in Tamil Nadu yesterday. The mishap took place when the Mi-17 V5 helicopter carrying General Rawat and 13 others crashed shortly after it took off from an Indian Air Force base in Sulur near Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. The mortal remains of General Rawat and his wife are expected to arrive in the national capital in a military plane this evening. Before that, a wreath-laying ceremony will take place at the Madras Regimental Centre in Wellington today. Our Chennai correspondent has filed this report.
The mortal remains of the Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and others will be taken to the Madras Regimental Centre at Wellington at around 11 a.m. All arrangements have been made at the Madras Regimental Centre grounds to pay respects to General Rawat and the others before being taken to Delhi. Chief of Army Staff General Mukund Narwani, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chowdhury and Naval Chief Admiral Hari Kumar are expected to pay their respects to the departed. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, who is presently in Kannur, will also pay the last respects at the Wellington Centre. Military vehicles decorated with flowers are seen reaching the venue today morning to carry the remains to the Sulur airfield today afternoon. The accident site has been cordoned off to clear the burnt debris of the helicopter. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
After the wreath-laying ceremony in Tamil Nadu, the mortal remains will be flown to Delhi. Their mortal remains will be brought to General Rawat's residence in New Delhi tomorrow, and people will be allowed to pay their last respect from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Indian Air Force has already ordered an inquiry into the chopper crash that led to General Bipin Rawat's untimely death. The lone survivor in the crash, Group Captain Varun Singh, is under treatment at a military hospital in Wellington. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Home Minister Amit Shah and others have expressed grief over the demise of General Rawat and others. President Ramnath Kovind said the nation has lost one of its bravest sons. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said, General Rawat added great strength to our defence capabilities and made a stellar contribution to strengthening our national security. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, India will never forget the exceptional service of General Bipin Rawat. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said, the country will never forget General Rawat's exemplary service. Army Chief General M.M. Narwane and all ranks of the Indian Army have expressed their deepest grief and sorrow over their untimely demise of General Bipin Rawat and others. Our correspondent takes a look at the illustrious career of General Bipin Rawat.
General Bipin Rawat was an alumnus of National Defence Academy, Defence Service Staff College and National Defence College. He was commissioned on 16 December in 1978 into the 5th Battalion of the 11th Gorkha Rifle of the Infantry, the battalion which was commanded by his father. During his distinguished career in the army, General Bipin Rawat commanded an infantry battalion along the line of actual control in the eastern sector, a Rashtriya Rifle sector, an infantry division in the Kashmir Valley and a corps in the northeast. Bipin Rawat had also commanded a multinational brigade in the Democratic Republic of Congo. As an army commander, he commanded a theatre of operations along the Western Front and was appointed the Vice Chief of the Army Staff before assuming office of Chief of the Army Staff. The General was the Chief of the Army Staff from 31st December 2016 to 31st December 2019. As a first Chief of Defence Staff, Bipin Rawat assumed the charge on 1st January 2020. He was awarded several gallantry and distinguished service awards during his service in the army. With Naseem Naqvi, Bhupender Singh, AIR News, New Delhi.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will make a statement on the chopper crash in the Parliament today. Earlier yesterday, the Prime Minister chaired a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security. Condolences poured in from across the world over the demise of India's Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 others. Tributes also poured in from diplomatic missions in India. Expressing his deep condolences, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, "We will remember General Rawat as an exceptional leader who served his country and contributed to the US-India defence relationship." US Secretary of Defence Lloyd J. Austin said, "General Rawat left an indelible mark on the course of the US-India defence partnership." US Embassy praised General Rawat, saying he spearheaded a historic period of transformation in the Indian military. Several other countries, including Israel, Bhutan, Maldives and Sri Lanka, have extended condolences on the tragic death of India's Chief of Defence Staff. Expressing grief on the untimely demise of General Rawat, Russian Ambassador Nikolai Kudashev said, "General Rawat was a true friend of Russia and he chose Russia as the first country to visit as the Chief of Defence Staff." Envoys of the UK, Japan, China, Singapore, Poland, France, Australia and Germany in India also extended condolences to the bereaved family members over the untimely loss of General Rawat and others in the tragic helicopter crash.
Lok Sabha is scheduled to take up the Central Vigilance Commission Amendment Bill 2021 and the Delhi Special Police Establishment Amendment Bill 2021 for discussion today. The House will also resume discussion on climate change, which began yesterday. In Rajya Sabha, the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research Amendment Bill 2021 is listed in today's legislative business. Parliament passed the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2021, with Rajya Sabha approving it yesterday. The bill had already been passed by Lok Sabha. The upper house also passed the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2020, with amendments moved by the government. The Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2021 provides for the regulation and supervision of the assisted reproductive technology clinics and the assisted reproductive technology banks. The bill provides that every ART clinic and bank must be registered under the National Registry of Banks and Clinics of India. The National Registry will be established under the bill and will act as a central database with details of all ART clinics and banks in the country.
The Union Cabinet has approved continuation of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen till March 2024. Briefing the media in New Delhi yesterday, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana will ensure housing for all in rural areas. He said the scheme will provide assistance for construction of remaining over 155 lakh houses and will achieve target of 2.95 crore Pakka houses with basic amenities.
अब इस योजना के साथ साथ हर परिवार के लिए पक्का मकान, पानी, बिजली और शौचालय उपलब्ध करवाने का संकल्प भी पूरा होता है। ये अपने आप में एक बड़ा निर्णय है कि जहां प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना को 2024 तक जारी रखने के लिए ग्रामीण को निर्णय लिया गया। 2,17,257 करोड़ रुपए इसके ऊपर खर्च आएगा।
Mr. Thakur said the cabinet has also approved Ken-Betwa interlinking of rivers project. He said It will ensure water availability in the water-starved Bundelkhand region. The project will cost 44,605 crore rupees and will be completed in 8 years.
केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल ने 44,605 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से बनने वाले केन बेतवा नदियों को जोड़ने की परियोजना को मंजूरी दी है। ये राष्ट्रीय परियोजना होगी और इसमें केंद्र सरकार का कुल योगदान 90% होगा। ये प्रोजेक्ट 8 वर्षों में पूरा किया जाएगा और जैसा मैंने कहा कि 44,605 करोड़ रुपए इसकी प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट है, जिसमें केंद्र सरकार का हिस्सा 90% यानी कि 39,317 करोड़ रुपए रहेगा। इस परियोजना से बुंदेलखंड क्षेत्र का विकास तीव्र गति से होगा। यहाँ के लोगों को सामाजिक एवं आर्थिक स्थिति में सुधार होगा।
Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari and the Union Cabinet for approving the Ken-Betwa River Interlinking Project. The Chief Minister says that this project will prove to be a boon for Bundelkhand region. We have a report.
Chhatarpur, Panna, Tikamgarh, Niwadi, Damoh, Sagar, Datia, Shivpuri, Vidisha and Raisen districts of a state would be benefited upon completion of the project. Irrigation facilities will be available in 8,11,000 hectare area in Bundelkhand region of Madhya Pradesh, while 41 lakh population of the state affected by water crisis will get drinking water facilities. The project will also improve the groundwater level and promote tourism and agriculture in the area. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 military personnel killed in a helicopter crash in Tamil Nadu. Last rites of General Rawat and his wife to be performed tomorrow at Delhi Cantonment. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to make a statement on chopper crash in Parliament today. Cabinet gives nod to extension of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen till March 2024. Also approves Ken-Betwa River Interlinking Project worth 44,605 crore rupees. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 130 crore mark. WHO calls for speeding up vaccination programs to tackle Omicron. UK, Canada and Australia also announced diplomatic boycott of 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics after US. Bcci announces India's squad for Test series against South Africa. Rohit Sharma replaces Virat Kohli as ODI captain. And India's Jhilli Dal Bihara clinches gold medal at Commonwealth Weightlifting Championships in Uzbekistan. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 130 crore mark. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said more than 72 lakh vaccine doses were administered till 7 p.m. yesterday. The ministry said out of the total vaccination, more than 80 crore 71 lakh vaccine doses have been administered as first dose, while over 49 crore 58 lakh doses have been administered as second dose. Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said that Omicron positive cases will be treated in designated COVID facilities with separate isolation area earmarked for Omicron positive patients. In a letter written to states and union territories, Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said that it has to be ensured that no cross-infection takes place. He said community surveillance should be prioritized and states should also undertake enhanced surveillance for detecting unusual events such as new clusters of COVID-positive cases. It has also been advised to send all positive samples to designated genome sequencing labs of INSACOG.
World Health Organization (WHO) has said that governments need to reassess national responses to COVID-19 and speed up vaccination programs to tackle the Omicron variant. However, the WHO said it is too early to say how well existing shots will protect against the new variant. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the variant's global spread suggests it could have a major impact on the COVID-19 pandemic, and the time to contain it is now, before more Omicron patients are hospitalized. We call on all countries to increase surveillance, testing and sequencing, he added. Meanwhile, the European region has recorded a slight drop in both COVID-19 cases and deaths last week after facing a string of weekly increases. The Jharkhand government has decided to give 50,000 rupees to the families of those who died due to COVID-19. State Health Minister Banna Gupta instructed the Deputy Commissioners of all 24 districts to provide the amount to the families of those who died due to COVID-19.
The News Services Division brings glimpses of the year that was in our special year-ender series. Today, we take a look at India's quest for the COVID-19 vaccines. Vaccination has proved to be a very effective tool in containing and management of COVID-19 infection. The Indian scientists made remarkable efforts in development of COVID vaccines, and in less than 1 year, 2 made-in-India vaccines, Covishield and Covaxin, were produced. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the world's largest vaccination drive with the help of these 2 indigenously developed vaccines. Launching the vaccination drive on the 16th of January this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Usually it takes years to prepare a vaccine, but in India, in such a short time, not 1, but 2 made-in-India vaccines were launched."
आमतौर पर एक वैक्सीन बनाने में बरसों लग जाते हैं, लेकिन इतने कम समय में एक नहीं 2 मेड इन इंडिया वैक्सीन तैयार हुई है। कई और वैक्सीन पर भी काम तेज गति से चल रहा है। ये भारत के सामर्थ्य, भारत की वैज्ञानिक दक्षता, भारत के टैलेंट का जीता जागता सबूत है।
Our correspondent takes a look at India's quest for COVID-19 vaccines.
As part of its strategy to contain the spread of COVID-19, the central government focused its efforts on development of vaccines. Besides Covaxin and Covishield, these efforts also led to development of the world's first and indigenously developed DNA-based vaccine for COVID-19, J-COVID-D. India continued its work for expanding the COVID vaccine basket by giving emergency use authorization to various vaccines. They include Sputnik V, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Some vaccines are still in the trial stage, including biological E. Government is also implementing Mission COVID Suraksha, the Indian COVID-19 vaccine development mission for promoting research and development of Indian COVID-19 vaccines. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
And now, let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this struggle every day.
On the 9th of December 1946, the Constituent Assembly met for the first time in New Delhi in the Constitution Hall, which is now known as the Central Hall of Parliament House. 207 representatives, including 9 women, were present. The inaugural session began at 11 a.m. with the introduction of Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, the temporary chairman of the Assembly, by Acharya Kripalani. Dr. Sinha read out the goodwill messages received from different countries, and after the inaugural address and the nomination of a deputy chairman, the members were formally requested to present their credentials. The first day's proceedings ended after all the 207 members present submitted their credentials and signed the register.
All India Radio Delhi broadcast a composite sound picture of the entire proceedings.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter Raj Narayan Mishra, who was martyred on the 9th of December 1944. A resident of Lakhimpur Kheri, Uttar Pradesh, Raj Narayan was a firm believer in socialism, leading to a classless society. He led raids on the British establishments with his group during the Quit India Movement, 1942.
Raj Narayan was charged with revolutionary raids in the Unnao region of Uttar Pradesh and sentenced to death. He attained martyrdom on December the 9th, 1944, when the British hanged him till death in the Lucknow Central Jail. He went to the gallows with the slogan, Inqilab Zindabad, on his lips. We salute this great Indian freedom fighter.
প্রতিরোধ তোলা লেখাপড়া শেখা খোলা মনে দেখা যেভাবে আপনি দেখেছেন বেগম রোকেয়া Sakhavat Hossain.
We also remember Bengali feminist thinker, writer, educator and political activist Rokeya Shakhawat Hussain, whose birth as well as death anniversary fall on the 9th of December.
She is widely regarded as a pioneer of women's liberation in South Asia. Her writings, which span poetry, fiction and essays, espoused progressive ideas for gender equality and envisioned a better and fairer world for women.
Shalinota thak, abarod jak, gramer meta, sahosh pa.
Popularly known as Begum Rokeya, she was born in the year 1880 in Rangpur district of Bengal Presidency, now in Bangladesh. She grew up in an orthodox environment, and it was through her husband and brother that Rokeya eventually found freedom.
Seeing her sister Karimunnisa, who often wrote poetry, getting married off at the age of 15, solidified her faith in education and individual rights for women. And from this belief emerged Sultana's Dream, where Rokeya traverses an alternate world where reality has been flipped and women rule the world while men remain indoors.
It is one of the first and finest examples of feminist science fiction from India. Her other works include Padmaraj, Essence of the Lotus depicting the difficulties faced by Bengali wives, and Abarod Basane, The Confined Women, a spirited attack on the extreme forms of parda that endangered women's lives and self-image.
In 1916, Rokeya founded the Muslim Women's Association to work towards women education and employment. In 1926, Rokeya presided over the Bengal Women's Education Conference convened in Kolkata, the first significant attempt to bring women together in support of women's education rights.
She remained committed towards the advancement of women's rights until her death on the 9th of December 1932, shortly after presiding over a session during the Indian Women's Conference. We salute this great women's rights champion.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
AIR News will broadcast a special roundup today on unsung heroes of Indian freedom movement in our series Veer Katha at 4:45 p.m. in the program Parikrama.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर आकाशवाणी समाचार के कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में बृहस्पतिवार को शाम 4:45 पर सुनिए देश की आजादी में अपना अमूल्य योगदान देने वाले भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम के सेनानियों की वीर गाथा।
United Kingdom, Canada and Australia have joined the US-led diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics at Beijing over concerns about human rights in China. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that no UK government minister will attend the Winter Olympics. Britain will effectively impose a diplomatic boycott of next year's Games in China. Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, said many partners around the world are extremely concerned by the repeated human rights violations by the Chinese government. He told reporters that therefore they will not be sending any diplomatic representation to the Beijing Olympics. Earlier yesterday, Australia followed suit, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison saying the decision of diplomatic boycott was in Australia's national interest. These announcements came after the White House earlier this week confirmed that it will not send an official delegation to the global sporting event to be held in February to protest the genocide against minority Muslims in China's Xinjiang region. New Zealand has confirmed it will not send officials to Beijing. However, athletes from countries taking part in the diplomatic boycott will still compete in the games that will be held between 4th and 20th of February next year.
Board of Control for Cricket in India, Bcci, has named an 18-member squad for India's Test series against South Africa, beginning 26th of this month. The Test series will form a part of the new cycle of the ICC World Test Championship. In a statement, Bcci has informed that the All India Senior Selection Committee decided to name Rohit Sharma as India's Test Vice Captain. Rohit Sharma was named as India's full-time captain for One-Day Internationals and T20 Internationals. The star opener will replace Virat Kohli as ODI captain from the tour of South Africa. The Test and One-Day International Series will be taking place from the 26th of this month till the 23rd of next month across 4 venues.
Indian weightlifter Jhilli Dal Behera has won the gold medal in the women's 49 kg category at the ongoing Commonwealth Weightlifting Championships at Tashkent in Uzbekistan. The Sports Authority of India in a tweet said, Dal Behera lifted the total weight of 167 kg with 73 kg in snatch and 94 kg in clean and jerk to win the yellow medal in the 49 kg category. On Tuesday, Sanket Mahadev Sargar clinched the gold medal in the men's 55 kg snatch category. He lifted a weight of 113 kg. With this lift, Sargar created the new snatch national record.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have moderate fog. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. Kolkata and Chennai are expected to witness generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Jammu and Srinagar will have mainly clear sky. Leh and Gilgit are likely to witness partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will have sunny sky. Visakhapatnam and Bengaluru will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Hyderabad and Thiruvananthapuram will witness partly cloudy sky with haze. In Puducherry, there will be generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. In the northeast, Guwahati and Aizawl will have fog in the morning and mainly clear sky later. Imphal will have dense fog. Shillong will have shallow fog. Itanagar and Kohima will have mainly clear sky. Gangtok will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. And Agartala will have fog in the morning and partly cloudy sky later.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All dailies have carried the unfortunate news of the death of India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 military personnel in a helicopter crash yesterday. Shocked, deeply pained, President and PM lead nation in paying tribute, writes the Indian Express. Biggest military loss in crash since 1963 Poonch tragedy, reports the Tribune. Lone survivor Group Captain Varun Singh had a close call shave last year, got Shaurya Chakra for gallantry, writes the Times of India. Farmers accept second draft by government, may call off stir today, headlines the Asian Age. The Statesman quotes the WHO as saying that Omicron is not more severe and existing vaccines should work. And finally, RBI holds key rates, pegs GDP growth at 9.5%, reports Hindustan Times. Easing Omicron concerns, RBI's dovish stance cheer investors. Sensex surges over 1,000 points, reports Business Standard.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 military personnel killed in a helicopter crash in Tamil Nadu. Last rites of General Rawat and his wife to be performed tomorrow at Delhi Cantonment. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to make a statement on chopper crash in Parliament today. Cabinet gives nod to extension of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen till March 2024. Also approves Ken-Betwa River Interlinking Project worth 44,605 crore rupees. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 130 crore mark. WHO calls for speeding up vaccination programs to tackle Omicron. UK, Canada and Australia also announced diplomatic boycott of 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics after US. Bcci announces India's squad for Test series against South Africa. Rohit Sharma replaces Virat Kohli as ODI captain. And India's Jhilli Dal Behera clinches gold medal at Commonwealth Weightlifting Championships in Uzbekistan. With that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.